Hello everyone, this is Oliver from Neo, and today we are going to taste a new tea which we discovered in the south of Japan. And this tea is coming actually from Kirishima, which is a region close to Kagoshima, and I brought it here with me, and it is a sencha from the Henta family, so Henta tea family in Kirishima. And we were able to try this tea when we were there on our visits in Japan, and I wanted to go again deeper into the taste of the tea to really show it to you, to present it to you, and for you to see how this tea tastes like. So Henta is actually, it's an organic tea farm as well in the south of Japan. So you can see on the pack you have the organic tea label, and what you can see is also the tea is pretty well shaded, I would say, for around 1 week. And in terms of leaves, it seems to be kind of a mix of smaller leaves with thicker leaves, but it's definitely a sencha, so no fukamushi here, because we have some very beautiful long leaves of this tea here. And now in terms of flavor, it has a quite nice grassy tone to it. There's a lot of spinach which I have in my nose. Grass, summer grass. So very on the grassy side. It is actually a mix of 3 different tea, no, it's a blend of 3 different tea types, 3 different cultivars. One is the Saemidori, one is the Okumidori, and one is the Asatsuya. So it's a blend of 3 different tea kinds, and this makes the tea pretty smooth. What is nice, what I discovered is also the Asatsuya is really a cultivar I personally like a lot, because it's nice, smooth, but still has a nice veggie green to it. So mixed with the Okumidori, which has like a mellow and smooth roundness, and the Saemidori, which is known for its strong sweetness or sweet aspect, this gives a really round tasting, nice blend of this tea. So let's just have a look how, in terms of taste, is the tea like. And we're gonna just leave it here now for 1 minute and let it brew. Good, now the tea is done. And let's have a look. So you see this very nice golden color which the liquor has. So this is often also difference versus the fukamushi, where you go more in this shade green and beautiful green tea mix. Here we talk about the sencha, and what is typical for a sencha is a little bit this golden, more golden, a little bit going more into the yellowish color. A very beautiful tea color itself. And let's have a look how the leaves look like. So here you can see the leaves unfolded a little bit, not too much, still quite closed until they are fully used in the third or second or third steeping. But let's have a look. So I got a little bit of a toasty flavor, nice. It reminds me a little bit of kamairicha. So I have a lot of sweetness, a little bit of sweet corn, but it nearly got a little bit of a wooden flavor, like a slight burnt wood, a little bit in this direction. That seems that this tea has a real savory note. I would give it a lot of umami, which wasn't clear coming out from the taste for smelling only the leaves, but now that the leaves have been into the water and gave the flavor, their flavor, so it really changed from a more grassy tone to really kind of this a little bit toasted and sweet umami savory flavor. I got artichoke, asparagus, which is pretty common for a tea which has a strong umami note. Yeah, it also has this sweet corn flavor as well. So it's a mix of sweet corn, asparagus, artichoke. It doesn't let me go, but it's really showing a lot of taste profile of a Kamaricha. This is a slightly roasted tea if you have never heard of it. So there's a little bit of a roasty flavor in these leaves. Quite interesting in terms of the notes. So then let's go into the tasting of the tea. Mm-hmm. Only already in the palate, it's a smooth. It's a little bit of a more of a dewy, so a little bit of a thicker note of the liquor. So it seems to have a lot of umami, but still the tea stays very smooth. So there's no bitterness at all. I got this a little bit of corny flavor, a little bit of a corn flavor. Then I have a lot of the sweetness now coming in, a lot of the umami, so the L-theanine seems to be very present, the amino acid L-theanine. There's a slight hint of kind of a veggie note and a little bit of a grassy note. Let's dig into this a little bit. So it manifests itself a little in the beginning of the tea where it gives kind of a freshly grass note. Then you have a lot of the umami, so the sweet corn flavor coming in. And now in the end, I also have some kind of a grassy, fresh cut grass tone, but it's very slight and very smooth. So there's a lot of sweetness, a lot of this kind of umami, a little bit of a, it's not at all brothy, but it's really kind of this sweet and a little bit sweet corn flavor, bringing in a slight kind of a little bit of a salty note, but not kind of salty strong, but more kind of mix of this sweet smoothness mixed with a hint of kind of a small slow or short marine breeze. So very refreshing and also lingering a long time in your palate. So it's a quite smooth tea. There's yesterday, for example, I was tasting an Osada tea, which was very strong in the tannic notes. This here is absolutely smooth, round, full-bodied. There's no tannic, or the very small tannic flavor profile, which makes like the experience very long lasting, and it still really stays in your palate. So this tea, in my opinion, has been also fertilized, so the soil has been very well nourishing the plant, giving it a lot of sweetness, giving it a lot of this umami flavor tone. Very well known for the south, for its kind of a little bit smooth and more mellow tasting tea, while the north or the northern parts are a little bit more in kind of terms of kind of harshness, but also citrusy note and refreshing profile around Shizuoka, much stronger. But this one here definitely is a very interesting tea, which might be pretty nice for somebody who likes tea which is more smooth and which is a little bit more on the sweeter side. This tea definitely shows a lot of characteristic in this, bringing along a small kind of a veggie, fresh cut grass note, which is also adding in, and in my opinion, coming from the Asatsu cultivar, which brings a little bit or more in of these interesting grass notes, and not only letting this tea sit on the sweetness of the tea taste itself. Good, so let's go to the second one. Only 20 seconds this time, not more. And you can see now as the tea also has smaller tea leaves, we get a little bit more into the color of a Fukamushi nearly. But it definitely is a Sencha. So let's see how the second brewing is, how it changes. And now it's very strong in its sweet note. So this tea now changes a lot into a sweet, strong umami note. The grassiness and the herbal, the vegetal tones are going down, so you get a broad spectrum of really smooth and sweetness in this. I get a lot of asparagus, I got a lot of sweet corn, but the asparagus especially got stronger, a little bit of the artichoke, which has become stronger as well. Yeah, I got a lot of kind of this, not the green, but the yellow asparagus taste. So this is something which is pretty dominant now in this note here, being very strong around the profile of this, a little bit this savory sweetness, very round, no astringency, no bitterness is coming in. There's a little bit of a tanninic note, so a very slight dryness, which stays very stable from the first brewing. So this is also quite interesting, quite nice about this second brewing. So we got a very stable tea, but it's toning a little bit down the veggie and the green notes and leaving much more space for kind of this sweet but also asparagus-y notes. Coming, in my opinion, come from a well-nourished ground and a well-shaded tea, and this tea really, must admit, is definitely one of the smoothest and one of the sweetest teas I had, and quite interesting now seeing the stable note or the stable parts on the sweetness, showing a little bit more asparagus and going now down in the second brewing with the vegetal taste. There's a slight freshness in the aftertaste, just in the short aftertaste, right after I swallowed the tea. There's just like a small hint of kind of a kind of small citrusy note popping up, but it goes away very fast again. So this is also something I discovered now with the second brewing. Yeah, and in the aftertaste there's still very strong in its sweetness, so the sweetness really remains throughout the whole two steepings. Now let's have a third one and see how the third one evolves. Good. Number 3. Let's have a look. And now I have the grassiness really coming back, so the sweetness is fading down. So there's quite a jump in sweetness, so it goes a little bit down and lets more space, much more space for the chlorophyll vegetal taste, which is pretty nice. What do I have else? I got the green beans a little bit, spinach a lot. So it's very nice how the tea turns now into a more kind of a sweet but more vegetal tones. The asparagus is really fading down. There's a little bit of a nice light sweetness staying with the tea and leaving much more space now for kind of the vegetal green beans, spinachy, and a slight citrusy. I have it always on the tongue when I in the aftertaste, this slight citrusy note, which is really interesting with this tea here. So definitely a tea which is good if you are more on the really sweet side, if you like this strong umami flavor, so a little bit this savory note of a tea, but staying a lot in the sweetness, no astringency, a little hint of citrusy, like very, very small in the end to reach steeping, but going from a kind of a little bit of a grassiness, a sweet tea, then really going into a strong sweet tone of this umami world, I would say, and then in the end leaving again space, fading down a little bit with the sweetness and letting space again for these little bit more green tones.